Hi everyone, Nathan here. I just wanted to hit you with another teacher's thoughts video, but this time combined with a bit of an anime and manga appreciation video. And this one is all about what we can learn from the manga character Izuku Midoriya, who many of you may know from the very popular anime My Hero Academia. And I'm sure it's something that you're going to find interesting because it might be something that you yourself haven't noticed. And before we begin, if you haven't already, just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on any future videos, anything related to art, education, anime, video gaming, you name it, we've got it here. And without further ado, I guess let's get started. So as some of you know, I watch My Hero Academia and there's lots to like and dislike about this series, but we're not here to focus on that at the moment. What we're here to focus on is something that's been on my mind, something else about the main character, Izuku Midoriya. You see, recently with everything being so up and down and, you know, schools closing and reopening, exams being cancelled and restarting, all that's going on, I got quite interested in this idea of Midoriya's abilities and his approach to using his power and how that compares to how we as students, teachers, anyone that's learning something new or anyone that cares for someone that's learning, how we deal with, you know, that process of learning. Now, if you've watched the show, you may be familiar with what happens when Midoriya uses power. When he first gets his power, if he uses the full power, the full 100% of the power, it does him a serious amount of harm. It really damages his body. And this has been an ongoing problem throughout the series, or as far as I've watched it. I don't read the manga. I'm just up to around the episode 100 and something. Now, the really interesting thing that I found is the way that he uses power so that he doesn't cause harm to himself. Now, rather than trying to plow through and just trying to get 100% straight away using some sort of cheat or some sort of super intense training, he literally has chosen to slow down to some degree and train himself little bit by little bit so that he can control small percentages at a time. So he started off near 5%, then he went to 8%, and then he went up and up until, I think at the moment where I've watched up to, he's at 20%. Now, this is the lesson that I think is important for learners and for their teachers as well. It's about his goals. He knows that he wants to reach 100%. He knows that. We know that. But the way that he plans to do it, bit by bit, inch by inch, percentage by percentage, that's what's key. That's what's important. Rather than trying to jump to 100%, overwhelming himself and causing himself harm, which may be lasting, instead he studies and he practices and he experiments, taking time so he can figure out different strategies and just get a few more percent at a time. And that's smart learning. And I've spoken about that before, about smart target, smart learning, and I've even got a video on it which you can check out. I'll probably link it in the cards or something. But that's part of the process of doing it. You don't go straight for the end goal. You go little bit by little bit. And as an additional thing, I find it quite interesting that along the way, Midoriya and some of the other characters as well find out that they have additional powers or additional uses to their powers as a result of their continued and incremental work. And the same can happen with you and me as well. You may find that when practicing, when studying, when revising, you actually end up having another ability somewhere else, or you get better at another not completely, but somewhat unrelated skill, or somewhat unrelated to what you were studying at the time. So an example for this might be something like, say with art, you spend a lot of time focusing on improving your shading work. You do loads of studies, you do lots of research on it, and then when you go to do something that's quite textured later on, you find that automatically you're much better than you were before. It's just a knock-on effect. Or say, for example, with maths, you spend a lot of time working at maths, but you just can't seem to get your head around it. Then you do a little bit of physics, and then find that because you've seen the application of some of that maths that you were learning, all of a sudden the maths makes a little bit more sense. I know that's happened a bit with me when I was starting to learn maths mechanics back in year 12. My physics informed that maths, and they both got better together. And that's the thing with learning. It can be a small, tiny thing that you get or you understand, and it can make it much easier overall and have a massive knock-on effect that propels you to where you want to get to. And then how about on the other side? So for those who are teaching, supporting and caring for that learner. Well, it's important for us to remember and recognise that students don't just magically learn the thing straight away. They won't get from being novices to being experts straight away. We didn't learn like that. Why would they? So rather than forcing a student to do something, forcing, expecting them to get to 100% very, very quickly, which really, just like that example of Midoriya, will overwhelm them, damaging them. Could be physically, could be just in that outlook, could be mentally, could be burning them out. Rather than doing that, we do well just to support them in taking that bit by bit with the small goals. Maybe setting them if they don't know how to set them themselves. Because this is something that you do see happen. You do see happen, and you might have even experienced it yourself when you're learning with something specific. And a great example of this can be seen with reading, where forcing very young children to read aggressively for long periods of time over and over and over and over again eventually makes it so that they have no joy in books, they find no joy in books, and so they don't become readers when they're older. So it backfires, it overwhelms them and makes them, I don't want to say useless in that area, but has a negative effect on them within that area, and that's what we don't want. So that's it, just a little something that I think we can all learn from Midoriya, something that we can learn from a little bit of anime. Now, as a side note, from what I understand, things do get a bit different as we move forward into more recent chapters in the manga, but like I said, I haven't read that far yet. So as far as I'm concerned, this applies to the first 100 episodes of My Hero Academia. And if you haven't checked it out, I do suggest that you do maybe give it a look. So that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and let us know what you think in the comments down below. Also, if you're interested in our commentary or our discussions around anime, be sure to check out some of our core narrative videos that we did. We had a really good one discussing what it means to be a hero and how that ties into My Hero Academia. And also be sure to check out some of the other videos, which should hopefully be on screen right now. And that's all. Once again, don't forget to like, subscribe and click that bell for notifications. And that's all for today. Until next time.